I don't have all the cards in from Japan yet, but I have my first gigantic stack that I'm going to be sending off to PSA. We're going to take a look at some of the cards that weren't gradable, as well as go through each card in that giant stack, why I bought the cards that I bought, and my plan going forward with Terastal Festival singles. First, we'll take a look at some of the cards that did not make the cut for grading. Some cards that I bought actually a lot of because I was able to get lots of them for around $1 to $1.50 a piece were just the Evolution EXs, the normal ultra rares. I thought that I would get a bunch of these in, maybe throw some at Beckett, see if I could get a black label or two, throw some at PSA. The last 2 months I've been buying and selling a lot of cards that are like popular Pokemon species, about $1, between $1 and $2 raw, but they sell for like $25 to $30 on eBay in a PSA 10. And I thought I would kind of do the same thing with these. Evolutions are incredibly popular, but there were 2 reasons why these particular cards did not get sent off for grading. Large stack, as you can see, and really it is a pattern of a problem with these particular cards that I found. The first of the issues is print lines. So these cards either had a horizontal print line kind of in the upper half of the card, or a vertical print line kind of in the left third of the card going through the O. So lots of the cards that I got in had this vertical print line, and it's going to be really tough, but you might actually see it going through the Pokeball there in the black portion. You can kind of see that line. Lots of those print lines. A lot of these cards I just didn't want to send off to any of the companies. I think some of the companies are a little lighter on print lines than others, and maybe I'll change my mind in the future, but if they had a print line, I just set them aside and I figured we could sell them on a live stream or something like that. The second issue, and this is kind of a really strange one, but you'll see in the bottom left, if I can get the light to actually go down there, you can see a bunch of like little dents and stuff kind of in the bottom left-hand corner. Surprisingly, a lot of cards, and I wasn't able to figure out whether or not it came from the same seller or not, if this was a seller issue and not necessarily a trend with the cards themselves, but a lot of the cards had this exact damage in the bottom left-hand corner, just kind of like a bunch of little dents and stuff that happened there. Hey, if you're enjoying this video and you have not subscribed to my channel yet, you should hit the subscribe button and the like button while you're down there on this video. It's free, it helps me out, and you'll get notified the next time I drop a video. I also bought quite a few of the Pokeball reverse hollows. So the Pokeball reverse hollows are something you're gonna see. I'm grading a lot of them as well, but I was able to grab the Umbreon for between $10 and $15 a piece, and then if I was able to get a lot where all the other evolutions were $5 or less, I basically bought every lot of that. I'm pretty sure I have a bunch more of these Umbreons coming. I think I bought like 50 of them so far or something ridiculous. There's a part of me that is betting a little bit on this Umbreon Pokeball because it's not like 151 where you get a Pokeball reverse in every pack. You get a Pokeball reverse maybe 2 or 3 per box, so it is more difficult to pull, and the Pokeball version of the Umbreon is only like $10, like I said. The Master Ball version of the Umbreon is like between $250 and $300. Like, it's insane. So I think there's going to be a lot of people who can't afford the Master Ball who are going to want the cheaper alternative, which is the Pokeball. Still difficult to pull as well. I think we ran the numbers, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think it's more difficult to pull a particular Pokeball than it is to pull a particular special art rare from the set. So technically it's harder to pull this than it is to pull the big Umbreon special art rare that everybody wants. So I thought for 10 bucks, kind of crazy. But yeah, we did get a bunch of these in different lots. There were some that weren't going to be gradable. Same issues as the ultra rare EXs, basically either print lines on the back or again, that little bit of damage on the bottom left-hand corner. I was picking up a lot of Umbreons, and if those Umbreons were also in lots with other special art rares at decent prices, I would pick up the lot instead of just the Umbreon itself. Because there were coupons at the time that this set came out, I actually didn't want to buy any singles for this set when it came out, but buyee was like, hey, here are some coupons on literally the day that this released, and I'm sure that was on purpose to get people like me to go to the website and spend a bunch of money, which I ended up doing. I did get quite a few other special art rares, not just the Umbreon, in the different lots and stuff, and unfortunately these ones are not going to be gradable. Same reasons. Basically, these ones probably had print lines. I don't think I saw a lot of the SARs with that damage issue on the bottom left. Actually, it looks like our boy here has the damage issue on the bottom left. Very strange. Let me know in the comments if you guys are also seeing just those little dings and stuff, bottom left left-hand corner on the back. Last but not least, for our non-gradables, we did have 2 of the Umbreon. I bought 21 Umbreon EXs, the special art rare, and only 2 of them are not going to be sent to grading. Some are going to be sent to BGS, some are going to be sent to PSA, but 2 of them, unfortunately, not going to be sent at all. And here is why. So one of them showed up, you can see it on the left there, massive dent and bend and whatever the heck is happening over there on that side. It almost looks like a binder ding, like someone put it in a 3-ring binder right after they bought it and then dinged it. Really unfortunate when something like that happens, and yeah, just kind of sucks. There's also a little ding up there, so it might have just been someone unfortunately tried to store it or something and bent it in the process. I didn't see it obviously when I was going to buy, so we got a bent copy. And then this one, unfortunately, it was the only one that showed up with a little bit of whitening in the top. You can see top middle there, little bit of whitening up there. Not really a card that I want to send to PSA because of the whitening. It's so easy to spot. Otherwise, mint, so very good binder copy. So like I said, I do have a stack going to Beckett. I'm not going to go through each of these, but it's mostly the well-centered, really beautiful looking copies that I'm hoping to score 1 or 2 black labels off of. I got 5 of the Umbreons I'm going to be sending off, and then a bunch of the Pokeball reverses, some of the ultra rare EXs, and some of the other special art rares. So fingers crossed on these going to Beckett. Hopefully they get graded and they come back despite all the controversy happening with the company right now, and hopefully we can snag a black label. I am also sending a small stack of 25 cards off to CGC, mostly the ultra rare evolution EXs, a lot of the ones that I didn't send to Beckett but were still centered and still really minty. Hopefully we'll get a couple pristines on those. I wanted to send those off because I recently resubscribed for the CGC purchase, and I always purchase the highest tier so that I get the biggest discount on the grading. So I think those were like $8.80 to send to grading, so basically like $9 to grade. And when I purchased and resubscribed, I got a $150 credit, so it's going to cost even less for me to send those, hopefully get some pristines and sell those. So now let's take a look at this big stack of cards that I'm going to be sending off to PSA. A lot of it Terastal Festival, some other interesting cards sprinkled in. Let's take a look. First, we have 3 of the Monk promos. We have the Rowlet, the Eevee, and the Psyduck. Now, you probably saw in a PSA return video that I made, these cards got shellacked at PSA. I don't know why. I think one came back a 4, the other a 5, and the other a 6. They got absolutely destroyed despite looking really solid. And when I got them back, I didn't see anything like egregious. A couple of them have little white dots here and there. Nothing huge, like no big bends, no big issues. So what I did was I put these in a book with a heavy thing on it for about a month and a half or so, and I'm gonna resend them to PSA and see if we can snag better grades on them, because I really can't tell. And a 4 is the lowest grade I've ever gotten. And I looked at it and I'm like, what? Why? So I'm gonna send these off and see if we can get some 9s, or hey, maybe a 10, or maybe we'll get a 4 again. Who knows? Next up, and what likely everyone is here to see, is all the Umbreon EXs that I'm gonna be sending off to PSA. I think of the 21 Umbreons that I got in, I'm sending 5 to Beckett, like I said before, and I'm sending 14 to PSA, and the other 2 unfortunately weren't gradable. But yeah, just a gorgeous card. And when I got all these in, I put them all next to each other and took a photo, and it was like, poof, I've never gone this hard on a hit card from a set before. On the last set, I bought like 5 or 8 of those Pikachu EXs, the SARs. I recently got those back from PSA. Really good grades, by the way, spoiler alert. But yeah, I've never bought 20. I think I bought most of these between like 145 and 165 a piece. And raw on eBay, you can see they're doing very well. So even if I sold these raw right now, I'd probably make a little bit of money, but we're gonna be sending them off to PSA and hoping for a bunch of 10s. Next up, I did buy 1 of these beautiful gold Pikachus. So I wanted to buy more of these, but the price was a little up there. I think I got 2 for around $35 a piece. I think at the time I was looking, a lot of them were like $45, $50, and I was like, but I was able to snag 2 really good looking ones for $35 a piece. One of them is going to Beckett because the centering was perfect. I'm really excited about that. But this one, the centering was a little bit more off, and I wanted to send at least 1 to PSA. So this beautiful gold Pikachu is going to PSA. As I was buying all those Umbreons, if they were also grouped with a bunch of the other evolutions at decent prices, I would pick up the lot because of the coupons. So this came with an Umbreon, and at the time, I think I only spent probably like $35 on this. and it is skyrocketed. Please let me know in the comments why. It's like $120 or something ridiculous right now. But yeah, I got this for a really decent price. A couple people have already reached out asking me if I have one of these because people are picking them up to give to their girlfriends who like Pokemon for Christmas. I think it's a really decent gift idea, actually. Very, very cool card and beautiful evolution. $120 now though, that's interesting. Personally, what I think is the most beautiful evolution card in this set is the Espeon. I love this card. I love the purple and the pink and the flowers, and it's so pretty. Like I said in my my top 10 of this particular set for these cards, I really like the Umbreon is like edgy, you know, it's almost like a metal poster or like a grunge poster from like the 80s. And the Espeon is so gentle and soft, and it's the soft colors and the soft palette and the flowers and everything. It's very reminiscent of their attitudes. Espeon seems to be more of the soft attitude, and Umbreon seems to be kind of the angsty teenager, so that kind of makes sense. But yeah, I really like this card. I think it's beautiful and definitely the best looking, in my opinion, evolution from the set. Next, we got Jolteon. I really like Jolteon from like the OGs, from like the Eevees, the Vaporeons, the Flareons, the Jolteon. I like the Jolteon the most. I like that it has so much action. It actually looks like he's running fast. It's got the perspective. The design is really cool. I prefer this one over the other ones, but the other ones look great too, and we're going to see those in a second. But yeah, 2 of these going out. All of these cards have such amazing texture. I really hope, really hope that Pokemon does not screw up in English and put these as like collection box promos or something ridiculous. Like please put all of these in the set. Put all of these as chases. Yeah, they need to be in the set. Please. Don't do us dirty, Pokemon, please. Next up, we have the Vaporeon. Really good looking card. Not my favorite from the set. Probably one of my least favorite, actually, from the evolution SARs from the set. Recently, Pocket just got a beautiful Vaporeon that I think is way better looking than this one. To really enjoy this set, you have to look past the hats. It's really hard for me to look past the hats, but most of these cards look really good despite the hats, which I can get over it. But yeah, the Vaporeon looks all right. Hopefully PSA likes him too. The last of the OG trio, we have the Flareon. Like I said in my top 10, I really like the Flareon because it almost looks like the person who illustrated this had to be a Lord of the Rings fan. Like just look, it's the one ring to rule them all. Like they put it directly in the Flareon artwork. One thing that I dislike about some of the other evolution cards as opposed to Jolteon is some of the other evolution cards, like this one for instance, he's just kind of sitting there. Like, it's a very static feeling card, apart from, you know, the flames don't feel static, but the Pokemon itself feels pretty static. Jolteon is like, it's like out there, it's moving, it's doing some cool stuff. So I appreciate that about that artwork. That's why that one's my favorite, but I do like the one ring to rule them all in the Flareon artwork too. Eevee! So at first, when I realized that was just like a fruit plate behind it, I was like, this card is dumb. But then I actually looked into it and someone made me aware that the artist of this is actually a chef, and a chef that puts together these really intricate, beautiful fruit plates. And so I gotta say, like, the backstory really helps, because at first I was like, why did they just put Eevee in front of a bunch of fruit? But it's because they brought in an artist that is not only a chef, but obviously an artist. So I think it's actually pretty cool when they do stuff like that. The design is still a little bit like, why? You know, maybe an Alcremie in front of a bunch of fruit would have made more sense instead of Eevee, but I respect it. I think it's really cool, and I like the story behind it, so pretty sick looking Eevee. Next, we have the other Eevee. So a little bit less interesting in terms of backstory, but another beautiful artwork. I think it's a little plain to me. It's a little bit better than the Vaporeon in my opinion, but it's a little bit plain. Everything kind of blends together in the background. It's very soft in terms of the way that they're using color, so it's kind of difficult to tell exactly what's going on until you get closer, because there's not a whole lot of differentiation in like contrast, but it looks good. The texture's great, of course, just like all these cards. Last but not least, we have the redheaded stepchildren of the evolutions. We have Leafeon and Glaceon, and actually, I do like the Leafeon card. I really like that the harsh outline because it really makes everything pop. It really shows you all of the detail and everything in the actual artwork, but it's pretty simplistic in my opinion. It's not my favorite. And then the Glaceon. So the Glaceon I wasn't huge on when it first was announced. I was like, oh, that looks all right. But I actually really like it because once you get closer and you start to see how the kind of the snowflake pattern in and around Glaceon is all textured and really, it looks so good in person. So if you're a Glaceon fan, you really got good treatment on this card. I think it's a beautiful, probably one of Glaceon's best artworks if we're actually thinking about it. So now that we've been through all the evolutions, that's what this set is about, all evolutions. There are some other special art rares in the set. I like the Cerulege, really looking badass. I know a lot of people are like, you can't even see the Pokemon. It is a little bit more difficult, but once you actually get what's going on, it looks super badass. Really like that a lot. We've got 2 of those going out. Fist of the North Star Illustrator coming in to do us some Aura for the Palafin. Really nice looking. We got 3 of those. We got the Roaring Moon. I really like this card. It's an interesting idea, taking other Pokemon and creating prehistoric versions of them, but I don't understand why they have to be completely separate Pokédex numbers. That's just my thing. I feel like it makes it weird. This is my number 1 in terms of illustration from the set that I really, really like. I love this card. It looks so good. It has that old school Japanese tattoo feel to it. It's only using like shadows and contrast to make everything kind of blend and stand out together. And then on top of that, there's no outline, so it's in the big blood moon in the background, and it just looks so badass. If only it was on a cooler Pokemon. Dragapult, probably one of the more popular Pokemon from Gen 8, right? One of my favorite from Gen 8. Really cool in terms of dragon Pokemon. I think it's really nice, and this artwork is pretty sick. It's very symmetrical. I'm a big symmetry guy. I like it, and it looks good. Turtle, I don't know. Blue Dog. Dumb robot. I'm sorry. Does anyone actually care about the turtle, the blue dog, and the dumb robot? I really don't, but they came in a lot and they looked good, so I'm gonna send them off for grading. So I talked about these a bit already. Now you'll be able to see just how much I actually purchased of these. It's like 50% of the pile is the Pokeball reverse holos. So we've got a bunch of the Umbreon that I'm sending off. Like I said, I got a bunch more coming in. I probably have like 40 more of these coming in, and then we've got a bunch of the Sylveon, and we have a bunch of the Espeon, and it's just a ton. It's a ton. It's, you know, it's all of them. It's at least like 5. I think there was 2 of the Vaporeon. We got quite a few of the Flareon, quite a few of the Eevee. We've got Glaceon, and then to round it out, we do have the Leafeon. So, like I said, I was picking up the Umbreon for about 10 or 15 bucks, and if I was able to buy a lot where the rest of them were $5 or under, I was grabbing them all. So we've got a ton going out in this submission, and I've got a ton coming in my next orders from the old buyee from Japan. Last but not least, after I picked out the ones that I wanted to send to Beckett, and I picked out the ones that I wanted to send to CGC, I grabbed a bunch that I wanted to send to PSA. So these are the clean ones where the centering is probably just a little bit more toward that 60-40 than toward the 50-50. So we have some Umbreon, we have Espeon. I'm pretty sure we have a little bit of all of them. Eevee, Vaporeon, Jolteon, Flareon, and all the rest. We've got Glaceon and Leafeon. So all of them. If you guys like this video, you might also like my recent video about how I struggled to scale my business this year and what I want to do going forward.